Hey there, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green, and this is my orchid collection, which I keep in a greenhouse space that I rent in Louisville, Colorado. And I keep my orchids here because the conditions are great and they grow really well here. And then when they get ready to bloom, I'm able to bring them home and enjoy them. A couple of weeks ago, a coworker gave me this Phalaenopsis that looked pretty big and strong, but she just didn't want it, so I took it and repotted it, and I'm gonna take it to work. These are two multifloral paths that I have had at the greenhouse for a year, and I'm just not convinced that they're doing very well. So I'm gonna take them home. I'm going to rinse them out really good, and I'm just gonna kind of give them a little bit more attention, and definitely I'm going to make sure to keep any water out of the crowns of these plants because they do rot so easily. You can see this one it looks like that growth that's losing a leaf, that one was supposed to bloom this year, and I don't think that it's going to now that it's got this rot problem. This one is a bigger multifloral. This is a prime child. And I've had a plastic sheet over it for about a month or two, and just trying to keep water out of the leaves. And it does seem to be doing better. The leaves seem to be reaching out a little bit taller than they have been. So again, this guy's going to go home. It's drier and it's cooler, but I'm going to see if I can't get that thing looking better. Here is Paphiopedilum Villasome, and it was purchased about 5 years ago as a seedling from Windy Hill Gardens, and it's putting up 2 spikes. I'm so excited. Now, a lot of the lower leaves on this plant have kind of come off, kind of rotted at the base and then come off, so I'm hoping that this plant still has the strength required to put out 2 flowers and then continue to grow. So fingers crossed on that. This is Phalaenopsis Chilli Ariana. It's going to be blooming in March, probably late February. Maybe even later this year. Now this spike really looks great. The size of the spike alone makes me think that we're going to have more flowers than last year. Last year there was like 21, 22 flowers, so hoping for some more this year. Alright, Bobo Filum Medusa is pushing several spikes. I counted 12 the other day, and this plant's a little bit behind too. Last year it was already quite a bit further along than this, so it looks like to me this plant won't be blooming until December, which is fine, but it's nice to have it bloom in November because not a lot of things bloom in November. But I guess this November is going to be different because there are several things that look like they are going to bloom. This is a Bobo Filum Lovely Elizabeth, and it's all just kind of packed in that basket. And it hasn't bloomed for a couple years, and I'm really hoping that these little white things that are kind of growing out the sides of the pseudobulbs are, in fact, buds, but spike sheaths instead of new growths. Not quite sure if that's the case, but I sure hope so. And alright, let's move on to the Cata sedum types. This is the Cycnotus Wine Delight. Big, massive bulb, shrimpy little spike with 7 buds on it, and in fact the 7th looks like it might not even develop, so it might only be 6 flowers in the end. And well, you know what, I don't know, they're still nice, but I think this plant might be on its way out of my collection. It just doesn't seem to do as much for me as it maybe could for somebody else, so why should I limit its potential? But it is the biggest pseudobulb on this plant I've ever had. I'm not sure why I didn't get more flowers. Right next to it is a plant I'm much more proud of. This is Cataclysm Fong Sing, and it's putting out 18 flowers soon. Man, this thing's been in spike for a long time, but I love the way that the flower spikes have just grown out in this wonderful wavy stance, and hopefully the flowers are going to come out and be equally impressive, and the thing's just going to be a showstopper. If it's in bloom by November 9th, I will be able to take it to AOS judging in Denver, but I don't know, that's seeming like it might be too early. It's really moving slowly. This is Momo Jumbo World, also another Cata sedum type. entering dormancy, going to sleep for the winter, dropping leaves. And I thought it had 2 spikes pushing out, which is pretty normal for this time of year. But in fact, at least on one side, it's not a spike at all. It's a new growth. I remember thinking it was a little bit too pointy, but now when it started pushing a root out, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. It's a new growth. So I'm still hopeful that we'll see some spikes. This on this side, this little green bump might be a spike, but it also might be another new growth. I'm not sure. But I would like to see this thing bloom. It didn't bloom at all last year, so it's such a nice little green and red menthol-scented bloom. This is a Fred Clarkara, and it doesn't. Oh, it looks great. I mean, the bulb is big, and the leaves are still very green. But it shows no signs of blooming at all. I don't see any buds anywhere in any of the leaf axils or nodes or bottom of the plant, so not sure when that's going to bloom. Just a quick look at some Cattleya roots. So a lot of the Cattleya Rex seedlings were repotted into net pots a few months ago, and they all seem to be rooting quite well, actually. Even this one that was really missing quite a few roots and was having some problems, it's continued to put out several, so I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. Alright guys, that looks like that's the end of this week's update. All in all, there are 6 plants in my collection with buds or spikes, so that's exciting. We've had a couple months that were very green, not a lot of flowers popping up. Hopefully your green pets are also doing well. So until next week, I'm William Green, and these are my green pets. Happy growing!